Yes.
See, you're the best speaker.
Welcome into Guerrilla Sports Off Ice, presented by Trusted American. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. Go to trustedamerican.com to see how much they can save you today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hello, welcome to the show. Jesse Montano, Meghan Angley, Chloe Theil. We got Andy behind the glass this afternoon. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Beautiful, beautiful day outside.
Beautiful, but I'm scared. Like global warming.
I know,
you know
I know.
mean?
I was just saying this earlier this morning that anytime there's days like this in the middle of January, I walk outside, I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Just because, you know why. But hey, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I'll enjoy the sun while we get it, eh?
I was thinking you would be really happy about that, considering, and you don't have to go to the rink today. So
I know.
I thought you'd be really happy walking out and seeing that it was a nice day.
2 days in a row, Megan, you and I even talked about it yesterday. I walked out feeling like, am I overdressed?
Yes.
You were wearing a nice thick coat yesterday. I saw you carrying in your arms for most of the day.
I did. Walking back to the car, it was too warm.
Yeah.
It was nice, all things considered. I still enjoyed it.
We are back with another Pyramid episode. Now, I do want to set the expectation. The new Pyramid built with your donations is still in progress. It's been a very, very busy last couple weeks.
You were on the road.
At the Montano household, I was on the road. My wife was on the road. And my wife is really the brains behind all of it. I'm just going to take public-facing credit for it once we finally get it on. But my wife has helped me put it all together. I think everyone's going to be very happy with how it comes out. But first, guys, I do want to, and I apologize, I'm still working on getting tweets. I've got some text messages still coming in. We got a little bit of breaking news to kick off today's show before we get to the Pyramid. That'll be the bulk of today's show. But this is breaking right now. I am being told that Comcast and Altitude have come to an agreement to get these games back on television. Now, I will put this disclaimer with the same disclaimer I've put on all Altitude Comcast reports that I've gotten. Until I see the game on the television, I will remain skeptical. They can put out the press release, and I'll be like, I'm going to wait to see if it's back on TV. But I am being told from a very reliable source of mine that a deal has been reached, and that we can expect an announcement on that here in the coming days to put Altitude back on Comcast, the largest television provider in Colorado.
Can you imagine a casual fan tuning into their first Avs game of the year in their regular Comcast package going, I wonder where my favorite player, Mikko Rantanen, is.
Yes. You heard Blake's story, right? How he had to break the trade to someone at the grocery store the next day. Our owner, Blake, the day after the Mikko Rantanen trade was at the grocery store, saw a guy with an Avs hat, and he was like, hey, what do you think of the trade? And the guy goes, what trade? And Blake had to be the one to break this dude's heart. And he was like, what? Rantanen? Huh? And it's like, oof.
The disbelief.
Yeah,
that's how my dad was, too.
Someone went to dinner and then went home and went straight to bed a little bit too early last night, you know?
Yeah.
Your dad was the same way?
Yeah. When I called him, he was like, well, where are you seeing that? Where are you seeing that? Because I promise you it's not true. I was like, let me hold your hand when I say this. I promise you it is true.
I guess just if this does come to pass, and again, I will encourage everyone to approach it this way. Take it with a grain of salt. This has been an ongoing dispute for over a half of a decade. And again, if you want to take my pessimistic approach to it, no amount of press releases or announcements or anything like that is going to make me believe it until I see the games back on TV. That's being pessimistic. But if this deal is actually getting across the finish line, Megan, I'll start with you. You and I have had so many conversations about this team missing the opportunity to grow the next generation of fans by not having these games available on TV. Your thoughts on if they can get this across the finish line, get these games back on TV?
Well, it's significant for Nuggets and for Avs because of the window that these teams have been in. I know it's been up and down for both teams this year in particular. From the Avs side of it, we know the injuries have been really hard to overcome, but this is still a team in its competitive window for another cup. And you don't want to sacrifice young fans getting to follow in that cup run. And that's how they're starting, right? Like, that's how cup runs start, I should say. There's adversity in the regular season, and it makes it sweeter to watch the playoff run knowing what they had to overcome in the regular season. And so these moments in the 82 games of it all are important to build fans because they get to feel like they were a part of it through the hard times, which when you've got a team that's been as good as the Avs have been in this cup era since the 2022 team, you don't know anything about the 2010s, but it's still important to be there for the hard moments.
It makes the payoff that much sweeter.
100%.
Chloe, for you, for these games to be able to be back on TV, for not just the diehard fans to tune into who have been finding ways to get these games, but for the casuals.
Yeah, I even think about, when they have big games, you may not be a person that wants to pay $20 a month to watch every single Avs game, and that's what the payoff would be, but just people that want to watch casually every once in a while. So I hope it happens. I just bought Altitude Plus, and even having that app, it's so hard to even watch the game on that app because of how much it glitches, and it wasn't designed in a great way. So I'm happy that they kind of did it and they went for it, and it didn't work out the way they thought it would, so now they're finding something better. I commend them for trying.
Yeah, the thing that they're always going to get the pushback on is, why didn't you do this stuff sooner? And I think that was the sentiment with the streaming aspect. It was the sentiment with getting them back on OTA television, using Channel 9, things like that. But look, here's what I will say. This is something that I have followed very closely since the beginning. These are complicated deals, and there were two sides here who were trying to make sure that they got the best deal for them and taking care of their business. And I understand that. I'm sympathetic to that. And I get that it can sometimes feel from a fan's perspective like they're doing it to the fans. You had two businesses that were trying to figure out a deal that worked for themselves in a shifting landscape that I don't really think either of them knew how to navigate. And if this is able to get across the finish line, what I'm hearing right now is Altitude's going to be treated, for lack of a better term, more as a premium channel. So it'll be something that you can add on to your existing package.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it may come with a few other things that you get included with it, sports channels, things like that. And I think this is what they should have done from the beginning. But hey, I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to turn my nose up at it. If these two sides found a way to get things done, that's really all that matters. And I think this will continue to be looked at across sports because this really was kind of the first. And we've seen some other markets have to follow suit. We've seen other markets find different solutions. But if these two are able to get this over the finish line, like I'm being told, this will definitely be the first instance of a team that fell off their cable provider and have been able to circle back around and strike that deal again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, I understand the criticism, but at the end of the day, if they're able to get a deal done, that's really all that's going to matter.
Yeah, I know there are people who have found other ways to watch at this point in time, but there are still some people who will be interested in a Comcast solution. So I think the bottom line is more people able to watch their team than before. It stinks they were ever in that situation, but it's a good thing. And it's a good thing they don't have to watch the Avs January games anymore, because that's a chapter in this year's season story that I think that teams should turn the page on.
So you're saying that this was strategic.
This was strategic.
Altitude had this done.
The
Yeah.
season starts now. Forget
Starting
about that other stuff.
Right now going forward.
Gabriel Landeskog returning a month into the season. Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, there's going to be some people that, depending on how you manage to get these games, you might be like coming back in. You're like, oh, Gabe Landeskog didn't miss a day. All right.
Nice.
Perfect. No, but this is huge in the sense that, again, I don't look at the diehards, because that was the one thing from the beginning was the diehards were always going to find ways to watch. You know, Megan, if you and I ever aren't at a game, we're going to find our ways to watch, this team that we cover. Fans who are paying money, on tickets and things like that to go to the arenas, they were always going to find how to get the games. To me, this is such a massive victory for the Avs and the Nuggets.
Yep.
Who are, for the Nuggets, this is without a doubt their golden era. This is the glory days of that organization. The Avs, I think you could make that argument that right now, especially depending on what happens, over the next couple of years, that this era does supersede what they did in the 90s, early 2000s. And you've had an entire next wave of casual fans, or not even next wave. You've had an entire pool of casual fans and an entire generation that you have just missed, of being able to get them hooked on this product, early. And this starts to help undo some of that. And that's what I'm most happy for.
I even think about the PWHL and how accessible it is to watch their games. And that's because they want those new fans and they want a new audience. And yeah, maybe it's different with the NHL in that they have a lot more fans than the PWHL does, but they still want to have access to those new fans. And if they can't watch the games, then
yeah, you have to imagine like the NHL has feelings about this too. One of the
totally.
recent Stanley Cup winners, people in that local market weren't able to watch their team. That stinks. That's not great for just marketing the league as a whole, to have a Stanley Cup caliber team with hometown fans unable to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is one thing, Megan, you went to you and I went to the Gary Bettman availability at the draft last year. Anytime the league got together for a marquee event and Gary Bettman or Bill Daly were doing availability, every time they were asked about this. What are you guys doing to address the situation going on in Colorado where a couple years ago, the defending Stanley Cup champions, the reigning MVP, the reigning Norris winner isn't on TV? What are you guys doing to address it? And it was something that they said, like, we work closely with the Cronkies. We're constantly talking with them, but Gary Bettman always said, at the end of the day, we have no control over this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't force Altitude to take a deal that they don't want to take, and we can't force Comcast to put them on the air at a price that they don't want to be at. But truthfully, I do think, and again, the pushback is going to be that it took way too long. I think they're landing where they should have been. If what I'm hearing does end up being the way that things unfold, make it a premium channel. The people that want it are going to get it. The people that don't have to have it. And I think that's the right way to do it. And, Altitude has long made the argument that a lot of people want this channel. That's why it's been such a travesty. It hasn't been on television. Well, we're going to get a chance to see that proven out by how many people want to subscribe. And I do. I think the numbers are going to be big, and I think the numbers are going to go up, especially this time of year as the games start to gain more importance. It's huge for Nuggets, huge for Avs in being able to build their fan bases.
And huge for us when they show our tweets.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, Chloe was an official part of the Altitude broadcast a couple nights ago. But yeah, guys, exciting stuff. I'm being told that this is I've been told that an agreement has been reached and that we should hear an announcement here in just the coming days. So this sounds like it's on a timeline to be soon, that hopefully games are back on. But I will remain skeptical till Channel 25 is back activated on Comcast, because the way these negotiations have gone, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, Wait, I said that backwards. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Shame on me.
Yeah,
both
shame on me
times.
both times.
Shame on me.
Nothing
Shame on
but
me.
shame.
Shame.
Nothing but shame for me and my family. No. So yeah, this is heading into the Four Nations. That is kind of the funny part, though. Hey, we got you guys back on TV. 3-week break.
Yep.
Time out.
That's why they did it. So that when everybody goes onto it and sees that it's still like maybe glitches on Comcast, they're like, oh, we can fix that. We have 3 weeks.
And people can catch up with our content to learn everything that they need to know about the Avs season so far.
That's right. That's right. Good news on a Monday here to kick off February coming out of altitude. Assuming that this does get across the finish line and we hear an announcement here this week that things are done. I truthfully, did you guys ever think this would happen?
No, I thought they were going to stick with Altitude Plus.
I thought the workaround was because there was a lack of confidence.
Mm-hmm. I truthfully, I thought we were just resigned to streaming services or Fubo or whatever until they eventually got a platform that they felt more stable on. Very excited to see them be able to get back to, like I said, what is the largest distributor in the state by a wide margin, getting these games back into households of Colorado residents.
In other good news, Oliver Shillington activated off
Yes.
of IR. Scott Wedgwood missed last game with an upper body injury, but is day-to-day and expected to travel with the team. So nothing too serious there. There have been a lot of questions, though, as to how he injured himself.
Yeah.
And I have no idea, but I'm sure it's something wholesome, like hugging his friends too much.
I did have just now in my mentions, Altitude TV reaching a deal with Comcast is day-to-day.
That's
That
great.
actually might be great.
Which could be week to week.
Right.
We
never,
really don't
never know. I'm hearing it's day to day, but that's you know what, that actually is the best way to put it. I've heard that Altitude Comcast is day to day, could be returning to the lineup any minute, but there could be setbacks.
They
You
could
just
Val
never know.
Nichushkin us.
They could
my
just Val it. But yes, you said day to day. I read the comment. Thought it was great.
Perfect.
Let's get into a couple other housekeeping measures. As Megan did just mention, Oliver Shillington activated off of injured reserve. Jared Bednar did tell us earlier this week that he was an option on this road trip. In fact, not only an option, that he was hoping to get him into a game or two before the Four Nations break. With that, Val Nichushkin moved to IR, but that is retroactive all the way to New Year's Eve. So I believe he's already cleared to come back based on minimum amount of time you have to be out. But, let's pause for just a minute here on Val. This is a player that on January 18th did skate full participant in Avs practice. He left about 10 minutes early. Then it was announced to us after that he had a little bit of a setback and he would not even be a hopeful option until coming out of the Four Nations break. We continue to see him skating on his own in shorts and hoodies and things like that. Megan, are you hopeful or expecting Val Nichushkin coming out of the Four Nations break, just based on what you know?
Both of those things. I think that
Hopefully expecting.
I'm hopeful and expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Val Nichushkin
expecting.
has been close to returning for some time now.
Yeah.
It just has felt like they've wanted to treat it with so much caution because this is a player with injury history and they don't want to rush to return him prematurely. And with the Four Nations break built in here, it just felt like an easy break to look ahead to and say, why not? Just proceed with extra caution, give him more time to feel comfortable, feel good, and return to the team coming out of it.
I completely agree. I think it's just they're already going into a break, so they might as well not rush him into the lineup.
Right.
If he had a setback on the 18th, then they might as well try to make sure that he doesn't have another setback,
Right.
and just let him take these few weeks to fully recover and then come back ready after the break.
At this point, what difference is 3 games make,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. No, I feel the same way. But it sounds like in 90 seconds, Oliver Shillington. I don't know. Is this let's get him in some games, see if anyone's interested in this guy? Let's get him in a couple games before we pass him through. I don't know. Maybe he would be a good player to send down to the Eagles while they're on the break. You know who doesn't need a break? Oliver Shillington. Dude's had enough breaks over the last 2 years.
Yeah, no, he needs hockey anywhere that he can get it.
Yeah. I don't know. I do wonder if this is hey, let's get him back in and then Let's get him through. I can't imagine anyone claims him off waivers.
He hasn't played enough
No.
good games. That's the end of the sentence. And so I think that it's, if Ludwig can pass through waivers, I think Shillington can. And the Eagles are doing their all-star break right now. So they're going to have road games over the Four Nations break that Shillington can get in and play some hockey for once.
I think it would make sense. I can't imagine that's a guy that's being claimed. To your point, he hasn't played enough quality games. I wasn't in like a huge rush to get him back in the lineup, but hey, if he's healthy,
I forgot about him a little bit.
When we go through this pyramid here, there's a shocking lack of defensemen on it. And I'm saying that like so I can understand why you're willing to just try anything, Oliver Shillington.
We all did this.
No, and I know. I'm saying like
This is
the
a
bottom
group
half of the Avs decor has struggled. Like that is the one thing we can all agree on. We have the perfect amount of defensemen on this list based on how they've played. So getting Oliver Shillington back in, while it hasn't been great, the games he has been in, doesn't hurt to try something different.
One for Oliver Shillington, the human being that wants to play hockey, whether that be with the Colorado Avalanche or elsewhere, needs a decision. He needs to know what the future holds for him here in Colorado. And he's been rehabilitating an injury, so that's not his fault or the team's fault, but I feel for him that he just needs some kind of clarity in the direction that he's going next.
Last little bit of housekeeping here. Megan mentioned it. Scott Wedgwood did miss last night's game. Trent Miner backed up Mackenzie Blackwood. And Scott Wedgwood, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. Took me a second to find it. Scott Wedgwood will be going on the trip. All we've been told, Megan, is that it's an upper body injury. Sounds like it's maybe something's just bothering him a little bit. He is on this trip. There is a back-to-back, so we'll get our answer pretty quickly on how healthy Scott Wedgwood is.
What did this say? Wedgwood and I are the same age, and I get hurt when I sneeze too hard. That's probably the case.
A possibility.
Yeah. There is some of this stuff where like I feel that where it's like, okay, I hurt doing this, and oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Me too.
Last bit of housekeeping here to go in coordination with the super chat here from Vaguely Sober. Adam Scheel, back-to-back shutouts in Loveland for the Colorado Eagles as well. Megan, let's take 60 seconds here to show Scheel some love.
Have you seen Scheel on a wheel?
I have.
I did.
That was pretty wholesome. No, he's been awesome. I've been tracking his record because Mandolisi had a little bit of an injury in the season, so Scheel got some more starts during that time. Minor couple games backing up with the Avs at points too. So it's given Scheel more opportunity, and he's just been collecting wins and back-to-back shutouts that coincide with Mackenzie Blackwood getting back-to-back shutouts. The organization is getting some excellent goaltending right now.
Which, boy, oh boy, what a sentence versus 2 months
fake.
ago.
Yeah, feels fake, but it's not. It's real. Adam Scheel is real.
Look at that.
Oh,
I was going to say, I think about maybe it was right after they traded Georgie. I'm not sure. But I think right as we got the new goaltending, I remember you saying, like, we shouldn't be talking about a backup goaltender this much. Like, he shouldn't be in our conversation every single pod, every single day. And now looking at it, I feel like we don't really, like, we talk about Scott Wedgwood, but it's only, in and out of the lineup, which I think is just great.
Well, yeah, no, totally. That was, when we were having to talk about Justus Annunen so much, that is one of those moments where you have to step back and be like, uh-oh. This probably isn't good if we're having to try to talk ourselves into the backup goalie. Like, that probably means things have gone somewhat awry. But there you go. Those are kind of our news updates for today. And actually, you know what? Can we make the announcement for tomorrow?
Oh.
Can we make that announcement, or do you guys want to hold off maybe till the end of the show?
Yeah. End of the show, because I hadn't prepared anything yet.
Yeah. We do have a big, small announcement that we will bring to you guys at the end of the show. But as far as housekeeping for the Avs, Yes, Wedgwood on the trip despite missing last night's game. Oliver Shillington activated off injury reserve. Val Nichushkin put on injury reserve, going retroactively to December 31st, 2024. And the big news out of today, I am being told Comcast and Altitude have reached an agreement. We'll hear that official announcement coming from both sides in the coming days. But it sounds like Altitude TV is coming back to your television if you have Comcast here soon.
Yeah, I don't have Comcast, so I'm screwed.
Well, you got to get it now, apparently. All right, is it time?
Yes.
I'll make my way over.
I'll start setting the stage.
Do I need a
setting the
mic?
table. Oh.
We don't have a mic over there. That's all right.
911.
I'll just unveil.
Oh,
I'll just
you
unveil and then yell
and then
loudly.
run back over here to do it, and then run back over there.
Like, could Chloe's mic get close enough?
Uh,
And then Chloe sits in the middle?
I'll come over after each row and give my thoughts.
I mean, there's a lot.
Today is maybe the most controversial
Yes.
pyramid yet. And that comes after we had Kiviranta ranked 1 on Chloe's list.
I'm
once.
no, he was not one, but he is one. He is one on this list. No, I'm just kidding.
He is one on this list.
He didn't
I'm just
make my
kidding.
list. He didn't make.
I
the
wouldn't
list this
change a
time.
thing about putting Kiviranta that high in that pyramid. That one.
I
time.
wouldn't either. Jesse's just a hater.
All right.
Oh boy.
Well, while we think about how.
Cut to a tight shot of Meghan so the magic of cinema can be had here.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. All right. So, first and foremost, we are going back in time for the last 10 game segment, but we're already 4 games into the next 10 game segment. So, some of this is going to be looking back at some games in January that we didn't love for the Avs. The Avs' January record was 7-6-2. Not necessarily their best, still above 500 hockey, but in the last 10 game segment that we're going over, that's games 42 to 51.
Oh, give a shout out to Vaguely that we lost a.
No. I gotta go see. Vaguely. I'm so sorry to hear that. This pod will be here waiting for you, but go think about your friend. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. We are thinking of you. And your prediction, I'm just going to spoil it. It's a good one.
It's a good
one.
It's a good one.
All right, 7-6-2 in the month of January, games 42 to 51. So through the 26th of January, some notable losses in there. The Chicago loss, the Winnipeg shutout on the road, the Edmonton game back in that homestand, the Minnesota game in the homestand, the 3-2 overtime loss to Winnipeg. And inside this 10-game segment, they had a league worst power play with just 2 power play goals and 28 chances. In the month of January, it was a 29th ranked power play, so it struggled. That's not brand new information. But somewhere in there are some glimpses of hope. There are some top performers that we are going to talk about. And this is where things get a little controversial. There are 2 games that were played by the new players. There's a gigantic trade that happens in the middle of this last 10-game segment. We'll go into it. We'll go into it in the pyramid. In the pyramid.
But
And
hockey.
I do think I have a mic. I think am I on? I'm mic'd up. So
Can you
I'm good.
guys hear
No
Jesse?
running back and
Mic'd
forth.
up.
Yep. So we're good.
All right.
Should we get started?
Let's get started with the bottom of the pyramid.
OMG.
Yeah, there will be a point in this pod where we definitely have some disagreement on how this pyramid's put together.
This had
but
the most disparity yet.
no disagreement here. This may be unanimous across the board. Coming in at the very end after some injury, Miles Wood.
Miles Wood.
What isn't the bottom supposed to the pyramid supposed to be not good?
Yeah, it's
But
kind
he
of
was off
become
the pyramid
through
for so
1 through
long.
15 that
Mhm.
anyone who doesn't make the pyramid is
It's
where.
kind of like, ooh.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
So Miles Wood making the pyramid after missing nearly 2 months of hockey. It's huge.
It's
This
a
is a
big
good
deal.
one. This is
This
a
is a
good
good one.
thing. He actually only plays 1 game in this last 10-game segment. He makes his return on that road trip that was quite shocking in a lot of other ways on the heels of the Rantanen trade. But Miles, you missed nearly 2 months of hockey. You're reunited with Ross Colton, and your return to play has surprised me. For a player that was dealing with back issues, you look really healthy. You've returned close to game speed. I feel like the mental side of the game's coming back to you, but I already like the early returns of the Colton, Drury, and Wood line.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. I thought it was a glimmer of hope when the Rantanen deal came through, because it was like, yeah, Mikko's gone, but Miles Wood is back. Yay. His first game was a little rough, I thought, but exactly what you would expect from someone coming off of a 2-month injury. And it's only gone up from there. That's out of the 10-game segment, but he looks a lot better, and he is still really, like, he's a lot faster than he was when he started since his injury. So I commend him for that.
His ice time was higher coming back from this injury than it was leading up to it, which
Interesting.
makes sense. He wasn't feeling very well,
Mhm.
but it's encouraging to see.
I will say, for a player dealing with a back injury, he has to stop running himself into the wall so much, or that back injury is going to continue to persist. The next one, this to me is a criticism. Ross Colton. This is a guy we've had much higher on the list at points this season. Still, I think, a net positive player, but has strayed a little bit from that consistency we saw early in the season.
Ross, you were elevated to top line role at some point in this 10-game segment, and thanks to some changes to the lineup, it's not necessarily born from a demotion, but you've returned back to a third line role. After having a taste of the good stuff playing with high-skilled players in the top 6, I want to see the production continue to translate, and that's where, in this last 10-game segment, your game has grown the quietest. The memorable goal against Minnesota on the road is still a highlight of this last 10-game segment because they needed to answer for that Chicago game in a big way, and Ross, you were a part of that. But past that, the production has been a little bit quiet, so I just want to see more.
Yeah, I think Ross, the energy is noticeable. I think I'm able to see him throughout the game, but I think a big part of him being so low in my pyramid is just that he's not contributing on the score sheet.
Love the energy shout out.
Yeah, that's a guy who I think can play an important role for them. Got to be better. Another player that needs to play an important role, gotten off to a good start, but you want to see him continue to get better, is Jack Drury.
Happy birthday.
Is it his birthday?
It's his birthday.
Yuso Parsonen's birthday 2 days ago. Jack Drury today. It's just birthday week. Well, I guess it's a new week.
I guess it's
damn.
a new week.
NVM.
NVM.
Good start for Jack Drury, but as Jared Bednar said, they don't trade for players to just continue to be who they are. They want to see him get better. Let's see Jack Drury climb his way up this pyramid, eh?
Yeah.
Jack, welcome to the team. In this last 10-game segment, it was actually only 2 games, so we have the benefit of a little more than that. That's creating a bias because I've only liked what I've seen from you more and more game by game. But I'm trying to keep it to the 2 that we've seen. Goals in back-to-back games since joining. Okay, I still cheated a little bit, but good vibes, I think. I think brings up the vibes. We haven't seen the face-off prowess as much because I think they're sheltering you into that role gradually, but everything else has been as advertised, and I really like the fit so far.
That was something that when they traded for him and they got him, they said that hopefully he would fill that 3C spot, and I think he's been phenomenal on the third line. 2 goals in already. I think that's incredible too for only having 3 in, I think it was 36 games with Carolina. So I think that's awesome. He does have a good energy. He's fun to talk to, that I've seen in your interviews with him, Jesse, and it seems like he's excited to be a part of this team. And do you guys see how low he gets when he takes a face off?
I haven't
You haven't
specifically
seen
paid
I haven't
attention.
noticed that.
It was actually crazy. I mean, I was just watching it on TV, and as soon as I said it, I think Riker said something about it too. But he's in it.
Digs in.
Yeah, he's almost in the middle splits when he's doing it. It's crazy.
A lot of leverage.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Next on the pyramid, the effort's never the issue. Want more production. We predicted this would be a high-scoring player this year at the beginning of the season. Logan O'Connor.
Logan, positive vibes around you in this pyramid. Specific to this 10-game segment, in the homestand from hell, you had 2 points, including the Edmonton game, where apparently only you and Nathan MacKinnon decided to show up. And I think that is worth noting. Second in the league PK, and only allowing 2 goals against in 25 chances through that 10-game segment. You've been a key part of the penalty kill and its success, and you found a way to impact the score sheet against a good Edmonton team early, despite not getting the winning result. I'm really proud of how you showed up in this 10-game segment.
Yeah. I think, OC, you're so valuable to the team, but what I love the most about him is I think that he's playing so well defensively, and I think it's definitely lacking offensively, but I like that he's able to play both ways.
Getting better, but still not where he. I'm the only one being critical of these guys. You guys are applauding everybody. The only player that needs to be, not the only player, excuse me, geez. It's getting better. Megan, you and I have harped on this a lot over the last couple weeks. It's getting better. It's getting better. But it's just not where it needs to be. Credit for getting better. Casey Middlestat, you got to find that rhythm you had early.
Casey. 7 points in 15 games in January, 6 points in your last 10 because we have the benefit of some games ahead of us too. 3 points against Dallas on that Lehkonen-Drouin line that I linked your success to Lehkonen at the time, a little bit Drouin, and seeing you now more with Drouin. I think you're finding success with both players. You had back-to-back points in the Boston game, in the lone goal against Boston, and in that New York game on the road to follow it up. So I feel like this has been a good 10-game segment for you personally, getting your game back on track. It's been above a half point per game pace, which is along the lines where we want to see you. And I need to continue to see it more consistently, but I want to acknowledge the growth. I'm really happy.
And he moved up on the pyramid, so shout out to him for
We
moving
got back
up, like,
on the pyramid, right? Because didn't he fall off
I think
completely?
he fell off.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. So that's a good. I don't know. I think my expectations are so much higher for him, and I think he's playing a lot better, and I think his passing is getting a lot better, but I still think that he's in a lot of games he's somewhat invisible.
Yep.
Oh.
No, that was just me agreeing with you. Yeah.
That's all I had to say. So you can touch on that.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm saying that in a good way. I'm saying you take that.
I'll say that was me hyping you up. I was like, yes.
I love that you can see you in my
I know.
shot.
No,
you can see Jesse moving around,
gesturing wildly.
Jesse, just put your face right down here. There we go.
Well,
there we go.
Actually,
I'm with you though, Chloe. He's been better, but there's still too many games where you just don't notice Casey Middlestat enough. There were 2 times last night where Casey Middlestat made plays, and I turned to Megan in the press box. I said, see, those are Casey Middlestat plays. Those aren't the plays we're seeing enough. He has definitely played better this 10-game segment than he did the one before. But I'm with you, Chloe. Expectations are too high for just good enough.
Yeah.
Has definitely been better, though.
I just keep clapping. Just
clap through it. Just clap through it all. One of my more positive surprises. I really thought this was going to kind of be a throwaway in and out of the lineup guy. Jared Bednar said they wanted more out of him. They believed there was more to get out of him. And so far, that's exactly what they're getting. Juuso Parssinen, you're getting more out of him than maybe what people were expecting. Is played second line minutes recently.
I have to imagine this is mutually beneficial to both parties. He wasn't being used to the extent that we're seeing in the opportunity he's getting with Colorado. Elevated minutes, elevated role. And when he has played as a center, he's been good in the faceoff dot too, with a 56.9% win record in faceoffs. And it's not nothing. That's been 51 faceoffs in 17 games. So like when you look at the amount of faceoffs Rantanen with spot shifting in, I think there's value that Parssinen can be utilized as a real center for this team if needed in the future, but I've liked him on wing with the second line, and that's cheating a little outside of the 10-game segment, but I've liked more things beyond that. He gets that first goal on the road. What was the game? Was it the Chicago game that they ended up losing? So it gets
sick goal
lost
too.
in that a little bit, but then continues to score on the road on the more recent road trip. Again, cheating a little bit, but this is a player that was being, in my opinion, underutilized because there wasn't a role for him in Nashville. And with opportunity, elevated minutes, he's a hardworking player. I just see a player that Jared Bednar is going to love to use, and he's embracing it fully. So I like so many things that I've seen out of you, So Parsonen.
I had him a little bit lower on my list. So
Why?
sorry to you.
Sorry to you, So.
I think he's reliable, and I think he's a very solid player, and that's, something they need, especially with this team right now. And I think Bednar can clearly see that from him, and they really like what he's done so far. It's just kind of, he's there for the depth, but I always just, when it comes to a player like this, like, you want to see more. So that's why he was just a little lower.
It's obvious he's got the skill.
Mhm.
He's got the skill. So I see where you're coming from. The next one ties into that defenseman conversation we were talking about. So there's going to be a lot of them missing from the pyramid. But one player who I think has played well, not as well as maybe you need him to, and the rest of your defense is struggling. Sam Girard, big goal for the Avs recently to help get them going in a game. And if it wasn't for him, that second pairing would be an all-out disaster.
That's the biggest thing for me in where to place Sam in this pyramid, because specific to the last 10-game segment, not as much jumps off the page at you production-wise, and that's come alive a little bit here recently, just outside of the 10-game segment. But what I think is most significant has been in the face of a Josh Manson struggling or out of the lineup due to injury, Sam Girard has been sort of a steady, stabilizing guy on the second pair that gives me something a little bit consistent that I can count on. And I think that's really significant. Of all the skaters through this 10-game segment, 6 best possession 5v5 on the team, best among defensemen, goes to Sam Girard. So I want to give him a shout out because still inside the 10-game segment, a pretty solid player.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I've seen from Girard lately. And one of the big things too was yesterday he said that he's been working on just shooting the puck more, which I think is definitely showing.
It's working.
And it's exciting to just hear him talk about that. So I'm interested to see what more he can put out from that. But yes, I think he's playing with Manson. I think it's easy to get dragged down by his performance, and I don't think Girard shows that at all. No hate to Manson. That sounded really bad.
Meghan, I want to go back to what you just talked about with the possession numbers for Sam Girard. I think it's one thing you and I talk all the time about how underrated he is as a defenseman on this team. And I'm glad that you took a moment to call that out. There are 2 elite defensemen on this roster who are going to be playing for Team Canada here in a couple of weeks. And there's stuff that Sam Girard does that is right in line with the way that those 2 players can play. He is not Sam Girard is not Cale Makar or Devon Taves. I'm not saying that, but he's a much better defenseman than I think he gets credit for a lot of the time.
I agree.
I love it.
And now here, let me tell you where you're wrong, Meghan. This next part of the pyramid is where the most controversy comes from. These 2 over here put a player on the list who plays for the Carolina Hurricanes on the Avs player pyramid. Mikko Rantanen? Nowhere to be found on my list as he doesn't play for the Avalanche. But according to Chloe and Meghan, Mikko Rantanen is on the Avalanche pyramid.
Everybody needs to understand what's happening here. Mikko played in the last 10 games. So we have to rank him somewhere.
No, I cheat a little.
No.
I actually evaluated the last
People in the
11
comments are
games
saying, who?
going back to the Florida game. So even if we take that out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
See, look, boo that man. Not okay. See, they know. They get it. They get it.
It's not like
They're
we ranked
booing
him number
you.
1.
Not okay.
He's all the way
Who
down
that
there.
man? Who?
Get that traitor off. All right, this is
Guys.
getting crazy. You guys,
But we
make a-
have to move on, says Stacy B.
But we're evaluating the last 10 game segment. When we do the
For
next
players-
10 game segment, can I please speak uninterrupted for 1 second? If we're evaluating the last 10 game segment, we can't erase Mikko Rantanen from the history books. He played in 8 of those 10 games. He had a 3-game point streak in the horrible homestand and a 2-point night against Minnesota on the road when they had a redemptive game following the Chicago game. He exists in the history of the last 10 game segment. He won't exist in the history of the next one
Well,
or
why?
the next one.
Why not? We might as well just keep him included if we're just throwing all the rules out
He
here.
contributed those points as a member of the Colorado Avalanche. He had
And then he got traded.
stakes in the outcome of the games we're evaluating right now.
And then he got traded off the roster.
But that doesn't erase the difference he made in those games.
I know, but he's not on the team anymore. This is a ranking of who's on the team.
It's a ranking of who's on the team through the last 10 game segment. That's important. We go back in time, so we have to put on
I know,
our history hats for a second.
but it feels weird to me to have players from both sides of the trade on the pyramid.
Because they played 2 games. The new members of the team also contributed to the last 10.
I just think it's weird to have a player ranked on a team that he's no longer a part of.
This is my closure to be able to talk about him. So you guys can keep fighting about this, but for me, this is to put him on the pyramid and say, okay, this is the last time we're going to talk about him because he's no longer on the team. But we have to finish out the conversation of what he did in the last 10 games that he was here.
He got traded.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down.
He
Actually,
did.
he got traded. Period. Okay.
All right, next, a player who does play for the Avs, Martin Nečas. What a surprise he has been. Yes, the centerpiece in both parts of the trade the Avs get credit for this week. But boy, oh boy, does this connection between Nathan MacKinnon and Martin Nečas look like it has the potential to be special, Megan.
It's very special. And the immediate returns, because again, we've only in this 10 game segment seen 2 games, but we have the benefit of a few more than that. But even in the New York Rangers game, the instant difference on the power play and providing something new, providing options, and then the instant connection with Nathan MacKinnon, elevated minutes then from what he was playing in Carolina, now up to around 23 minutes a night, playing alongside MacKinnon, I think because what they're doing together right now is too good to interrupt. It's the speed, it's the controlled entries, such a natural fit. And I know this is a player that has sometimes been criticized for not showing up in important moments, or the engagement becomes an issue at some point. So in the early returns, that has not come through. Again, there's maybe concern lingering that that's a future problem, but right now we're evaluating the last 10 game segment and it's not a problem for me. I really like his game.
I do too. And the more I watch him play, the more I think it's we came off on the better end of the trade.
That's a hot take right there. And I'm not even saying you're wrong. I'm saying that's a hot take.
I think
like
it's
it.
a hot take too, but this was something that me and Megan talked about it. The more we kind of spoke about why the trade happened, the more I understood it. And now seeing like the way he's been playing and how he's been able to just come out and immediately start adding to the team, I think that's huge. And I think that's something that Mikko is having a really hard time doing with Carolina right now. I think him and Nate have a really good chemistry, but my only thing is that I think he needs to focus on shooting the puck more, because him and Nate have this constant thing of passing back and forth, trying to figure out which one is going to actually shoot the puck. So that's my only downside.
Breaking news, Avs player needs to shoot puck more.
Yeah, wow.
And, it's like almost as if born from, all right, who's going to be the shooter here? I think MacKinnon's shooting more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of this, well, someone's got to do it.
Mhm.
And he's taken some of that by the reins. But I do want to see Nečas also shoot more.
I do think, and I apologize, Megan, I was reading comments. You may have mentioned this. The minutes. This is not something to be overlooked. Martin Nečas is playing almost 5 minutes more per night here in Colorado than he was in Carolina. So, Megan, those couple things that you did mention, I know of that, as he maybe disappeared in some big moments, has he gone through cold streaks, engagement issues. I think there's a lot of different factors here at play in Colorado that are going to factor into all of that. And getting to play next to Nathan MacKinnon is, of course, one as well. But I know for certain Martin Nečas is very excited to be here because of the opportunity that he knows he's going to get. And if nothing else, he's getting to play a lot more hockey every night than he was in Carolina. So I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't be overly surprised by what we've seen in the early going, especially with how much his play style does seem to match that of Nathan MacKinnon. And man, he's making Nate's life easier. Nate doesn't have to be the one to carry the puck from one end of the ice to the other every single time anymore. So I'm sure he appreciates that. Here is where I think Chloe loaded the deck. So I'm pretty sure you and I both had this next player above the player that is ranked higher.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know who it is.
And I think we'll all be able to tell. We'll know why Chloe stacked the deck here. But next up on the pyramid, moving up a tier, Devon Toews, heading to the Four Nations tournament here after these next 3 games. His game has come a long way. This is who's next, by the way.
Okay.
And I think you and I had those flipped.
Oh, we did.
And that's why I think someone over here had their thumb on the scale.
We actually, though, like when we were sitting down, since there was so much disparity, this was to help honor part of Chloe's list because we had to honor parts of our list in a different way. So there's someone higher.
I'm also mostly just giving a hard time because I could tell that this was the workings of Chloe.
It was, but I signed off on it too because I was like, all right, we got to find a way to accommodate everybody's list a little bit here.
My list is just based on who I love the most.
Toews has been great for this team. This is one player who I actually think we have seen on the pyramid directly near the bottom. And we said, hey, you're not playing well enough. You got to work your way back up. And I think this is the second pyramid in a row where he has worked his way up in the tier system. So good on Devon Toews.
Devon, you were a little higher in my final rankings.
Me too.
3 game-winning goals in January. One of those was the Buffalo game, which was just before the 10-game segment that we're evaluating, but we threw away the rules a long time ago. Behind Gerard, the best 5v5 possession numbers on D and the second most shots on goal. This was a player at the start of the year that we had a lot of criticisms around that I think has really turned his game around. And he's a difference maker in key moments, which he hates because it means he has to talk to us post-game. But that's a good problem to have.
I don't have any notes for him. I think that he watched our episode with him on the pyramid and he was like, I need to flip this around really fast.
He definitely did.
And it worked. So I really have no notes. I think he's in a really good spot and I hope it continues this way. He is just a little lower on my list because I think there's a lot of other people that have contributed more in the last 10 games. So that's my only reason. There's no bad things about Devon Toews.
For Jonathan McMillan in the chat, Toews over Nečas. Again, this was kind of it says Toews over Nečas is criminal. This was part of the controversy a little bit of how much weight do we put in? Do we just throw out the 10-game segment and just say up to right now? You have to keep in mind that with what we're technically judging this off of includes the Boston and New York game. So the sample size for Nečas and Drury is much smaller than what we've actually seen to this point, but it's part of the reason why, as we alluded to earlier, and Megan mentioned, like, it got a little blurry with how much weight it's how we end up with this abomination here, where you got both of them in there. We just didn't know how to split it.
It is really hard because we have the benefit of the games we've seen past the 10-game segment we're evaluating, and they've been good. There've been exciting things that I think we can, when we're done with the pyramid, get hopeful around and project a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's hard to, when you have a game that's played, or when you have a player that's played the entire 10-game segment, to rank someone that's technically only played 1 or 2 games within this segment above them, because we haven't seen 10 games from each player on the pyramid. So that's why.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But it's worth noting this was not a good 10-game segment for the Avs, too.
Yeah.
And so
Jared Bednar said it was one of his least favorite of the year.
It was one of my least favorite of the year. And I want to almost separate Nečas and Drury from it, like, to spare them a little bit. Like, all right, you did good things in the 2 games you played, but the rest of us, everyone else needs to answer for it a little bit, because there were bad games. I started off the top with some of the ones we didn't like, getting shut out on the road against Winnipeg, the Chicago game, the Minnesota game at home. the Edmonton game at home, the whole of that homestand, the ups and downs of it. We have to address that there was some bad in this homestand, or not homestand, segment.
Good.
Yes.
Up next, Chloe Makar. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Cale Makar next on the list. Another representative heading to play for Team Canada here in just a couple weeks. The offense is back in Cale's wheelhouse, contributing, scored a couple goals. Thought he had a hat trick at one point in New York. He's driving the bus offensively for that back end right now.
2 goals in that Dallas game at home, which was a good turning point for the Avs. And then since the New York game made the cut, it was a really redemptive game. He was robbed of a hat trick, a penalty that probably shouldn't have been called, but steals the puck back coming out of the box to help set up the game winner. And that was a 3-point game from Makar. So especially at the tail end of this 10-game segment, Cale Makar has been a huge difference maker. I think it's why he's still high in the list, but why I had him like one hair below a Taves is because during some of the ugliest moments of this last 10-game segment, I was looking to players like him for a little bit more. He still gave so much, but was looking for a little bit more.
Cale was my third. So I thought that it's been a great 10 segment for him. He was struggling offensively for quite a long time. He had a 7 or 8 game stretch where he didn't have any goals at all. So I'm happy that the power play is slowly inching its way back, because I think that's helping him contribute more offensively. But he also doesn't need the power play to score, which I think is amazing.
There we go. Up next, one of the best goal scorers in the NHL over the last, I believe it's month and a half, maybe 2 months. Artturi Lehkonen, rounding out this tier of the pyramid, has scored some big goals for the Avs, but like I said, is among the league's leader in goal scoring going back to, I believe, mid-December. Megan.
Artturi. He had a 4-point game against Dallas and was the lone goal scorer in the Boston game on the heels of the shocking news of the Rantanen trade, the game-winning goal against New York on the road. He's had a productive last month, and this last 10-game segment has really shown up. I think this is a player that, when the top 6 picture hasn't been fully complete, I wanted to see more of Lehkonen's game come into focus, and I think that's what's been happening lately.
Yeah, not only did he have the 4-point night, but he also had a 4-game point streak, and he had that goal from his butt.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Which enough
Move him to the top
that's
of the
enough to
pyramid.
put him on the top of the pyramid for sure. But I think he's getting a lot more consistent with his game, and I really, really like the top line with him, Nate, and Nečas on it too.
Moving on to the second from the top tier. This is a player that I had a little bit lower, but I've got no issues with him being here. Given the way that we have seen him be able to jump right back into full speed, despite how much time he's missed and be an impact player, Jonathan Drouin, worried that maybe he had bet on himself a little bit too heavy in the offseason with that contract, given all the injuries. But right now he is looking like he made the right bet. He just fits picture perfect here in this Colorado lineup.
Jonathan. He had 2 points in the Minnesota game after that Chicago game on the road, which is significant. And then 3 points in that Dallas game with the Lehkonen Middlestat line, which I think was a start in the resurgence of Middlestat getting his game going. This is where, you cheat a little bit, having the benefit of a couple games here, seeing Middlestat back with Drouin and some success there. It's not just the individual success Drouin has, the goal and 8 assists over that last 10-game stretch that we're evaluating, which is good production, but it's also how he can elevate others around him. Lehkonen has a little bit of that in him too, but Drouin, especially given the time that he's missed, to be able to come into the lineup and make a difference every time that he plays is significant.
This is not a part of the 10-game segment, but he has had 5 points in the last 2 games, which I feel like that needs to be shouted out here. I think he's picking up so many multi-point games, and he had the 2 goals in one game, and I think he's doing really, really well right now, and I almost wonder if maybe a little bit of Mikko getting traded kind of kicked him in the butt a little bit, because he's producing a lot more than normal after that.
It's a funny point you make, Chloe, and one that maybe we haven't talked about enough. And I don't think this is directed at any one player in particular. That was definitely a message from the front office of, hey, we'll trade just about anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That was the list of untouchables on this team is very, very short, and even shorter than we thought. So, I don't necessarily think it was meant to be like a threat to anybody, but definitely sent a message that, hey, if you think you're untouchable, you're probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're this next guy, and the first player in the NHL to 80 points this season, Nathan MacKinnon. There's nothing really else to say about him. The only reason he's not number one is because one player we've got, I think, has been the only person that you could argue has had an equal impact. But boy, oh boy, we are seeing another special season from Nathan MacKinnon.
I was thinking about the flaws of the pyramid and the last 10 game segment of it all, because Nathan MacKinnon probably will never be outside the top 3 because of who he is. And it makes it sad. Then it's like, oh, we never will see a Kiviranta in the top 3. We tried, and it just won't happen. I mean, even getting Duran this high, it was hard. We were really split with where to put Lehkonen and Duran respectively, because they were close. But it's a testament to who and what Nathan MacKinnon is to this team. And, I pointed out the Edmonton game with the goal from Logan O'Connor, but 2 of those goals from a Nathan MacKinnon trying to carry the team on his back and do it himself. Goals in back-to-back losses with the Minnesota game at home, the Winnipeg overtime game. And I know people looked critically at MacKinnon and how he played that goal in overtime against. But you wouldn't be in overtime if not for Nathan MacKinnon. This is a player who has that kind of impact nightly. I talked about it with Duran, but it's next level with what Nathan MacKinnon adds to this team. And since it fits inside the last 10 game segment, there's new life with Nathan MacKinnon alongside Nečas. He's been a key piece in making Nečas feel at home too, working with him extra one-on-one. But I think it adds to Nathan MacKinnon's game to have something new and different like Nečas that works so well with him. And I'm excited for this new resurgence for Nathan MacKinnon.
Not the only reason, but the biggest reason why I put Nate over Cale in my pyramid is because of what Bednar talked about with the new guys coming in and how he's taken him under his wing. And I think that's a big deal for Nate to kind of step into that role and welcome the new players and try to make them feel as comfortable as quickly as possible. So that is a big reason why he's number 2.
I wonder, not that it's ever an engagement issue for Nathan MacKinnon, but Megan, what you just pointed out there, and with what Chloe just pointed out about what Jared Bednar told us, with the way that Nathan MacKinnon has embraced Martin Nečas in particular, I do almost wonder if this, kind of forced Nathan MacKinnon to re-engage in a way that he wouldn't normally have to. There was so little thinking that had to go on between him and Mikko. Like they just kind of Nate's got to kind of refocus and re-dig in and relearn a new line mate and things like that. Again, not that engagement is ever a problem for Nathan MacKinnon, but it's forcing him to work the mental side of his game maybe in a different way than we've come accustomed to.
I would love re-engage as the word, because it's not like he's been disengaged necessarily, but it is a new form of engagement and a new puzzle to solve. And I think he likes that.
Well, I've already seen it in the chat, but that's right. Back to back, just like his shutouts, Mackenzie Blackwood at the top of the pyramid. Once again, the games that they have won, they don't win without this guy. As Megan pointed out, this has not been the best 10-game segment of the season, and Mackenzie Blackwood helped scrape out some levels of positives to it. Yes, the Mikko Rantanen trade was maybe the biggest trade in franchise history in terms of who they sent out. But you're going to be hard-pressed to find a trade more impactful in the NHL this season, at least to this point, than Mackenzie Blackwood joining the Colorado Avalanche.
I love that. The back to back, just like his shutouts.
I
That
do
was
like that a
great.
lot too. There's so much you can do with it. Back to back, black to black. Sorry, I should be giving you analysis.
No,
I'm just mulling over.
We
the
could just
word.
keep
it.
coming up with
Love it.
back-to-back synonyms. I love
Back
that
to
too.
Blackwood. 4-3-1 over the last 10 game segments. He had 8 starts, 911 save percentage, and faced the 4th most shots of any goaltender in the league during this segment, and still a 911 save percentage over that stretch. It speaks to how he gives his team a chance to win every night. I feel like, we have the benefit of some of the games here recently, and so maybe we've seen a few more goals allowed than the 2 or less than when he first joined the team. But it's still been within a 1-goal striking distance that he has kept games, and it's still been rock solid goaltending from Mackenzie Blackwood. And so I look at the 10-game segment that I also didn't particularly love, and it has nothing to do with Mackenzie Blackwood.
Yeah, I think he's saved the team from losses, especially, in that game against the Rangers when the defense wasn't really there. And even though he's been giving up a few more goals than he was when he got here, I don't think it's a problem that has to do with him at all.
Yeah, no, and you and I talked about that. It's never going to be fully realistic for him to stay at that, 2 goal a game. You knew,
Yeah.
But hey, he's not, we haven't seen him let it run out of control, and that's all you're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it, folks. Mackenzie Blackwood at the top once again. Nathan MacKinnon, Jonathan Drouin, Arturi Lehkonen, Cale Makar, Devon Taves, Martin Nečas, Sam Girard, Juuso Parssinen. Ooh, no, I'm being blocked over here. Okay. Casey Middlestat, Logan O'Connor, Jack Drury, Ross Colton, Miles Wood. From first to last on the pyramid, 1 through 15. There it is. There it is.
Ta-da!
And now I imagine the next 10-game segment, we're going to be able to incorporate everything that we've seen from Nečas and Drury
Yes.
in the last week and beyond. And we'll see what they can do.
And no Mikko Rantanen. And so I think you had Parker Kelly, who made your,
I did,
your
yeah.
15, if you want
Yep.
to give him
Yes.
some love.
No, not on the list. Hey, who am I? Who am I
We
to break the rules?
We do honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Which would have been a great spot for Mikko Rantanen. I'm just kidding. No, I do think Parker Kelly's been good. Truthfully, I would have. We aggregate all of our lists. That's how we end up with the final rankings. Is we put all of them together. I personally probably would have had Kelly over Miles, but I'm also not that burdened by it. I think you found a really nice combination there on your 4th unit. Any other thoughts before we get to this announcement here?
Is there anybody you guys want to talk about that didn't make the pyramid?
Anyone else on this team who plays defense?
Yeah.
You're miles from the pyramid right now.
You're Miles Wood from the pyramid. Right now.
Yeah.
And he even made it.
Yeah. Miles Wood, the guy who hasn't played, made the pyramid.
Stop. That's bad, but it's true.
But no, the bottom half of this decor's got to figure it out, or there's going to be some people who find themselves out of town or at least out of a roster spot quickly between now and is it March 7th, March 6th,
Yeah.
March 7th, trade deadline. If guys like Calvin DeHaan, Keaton Middleton, Sam Malinsky, even Josh Manson can't get their game going back.
Might be the biggest one not on the pyramid.
Yep, I agree. Got to get their game in order.
I can't even with Sam Malinsky.
Look, he hasn't been good. Like, he hasn't been good. Has it all been on him? No. Has he been strapped next to Keaton Middleton and Calvin DeHaan, who have their own struggles? Yes. But Sam Malinsky isn't doing himself any favors right now.
I mean, at this point, too, it's a question of, like, should you send him down to the Eagles and, like,
I
see if
think
maybe
he'd
that
be
makes
playing.
a difference?
Because he's
think so?
not waiver exempt.
So this is the thing.
Oh.
I think he's shown enough good this year and last year that somebody out there would be like, yeah, no, we'll take this guy and we'll write it out. So I think the Avs, in both a good and bad way, are kind of stuck with him. I I'm still a believer in Sam Malinsky. Like, we've seen it. It doesn't just go away. You know what I mean?
He was 4th on our first pyramid.
Right. Like, he was one of the most consistent players in that first month. They were playing him with different players. At one point, they put Devon Taves with Sam Malinsky to try to help out Devon Taves. Like, I truly do see this as he has hit the first year pro wall. He came from college where it was way fewer games, only on the weekends. He played the bulk of last year in the American Hockey League, which is primarily only on weekends. This is a grueling schedule. You stack on top the 2-week break for Four Nations. I think Sam Malinsky has hit a rookie wall, which happens to a lot of players. That's why I don't think they should move on from him. But if you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, you got to at least get an upgrade over him that you can have in your lineup more regularly and use Sam as a guy that you can cycle in instead of needing to put so much importance on him and asking him to carry a pairing next to either Keaton Middleton or an 11-year NHL vet in Calvin DeHaan, who can't seem to help himself but to step on any rake you put in front of him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
anyone else who's not on this pyramid that plays defense needs to watch this episode and do what Devon Taves did.
Yeah. Actually. Josh. Sam.
Sam.
Other Sam.
Other Sam.
Sam.
Anything else? All right. Well, I'm really excited for tomorrow, you guys. We are right now, Gorilla Sports Off Ice runs Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays as you all tune in. The Tuesday show of Gorilla Sports Off Ice will be going away. We'll be taking this down to Mondays and Fridays, but have no fear. That show is being immediately, starting tomorrow, replaced with Pucks and Prosecco, hosted by these two women here on set with me. Meghan Angley will be host, joined by Chloe Theil every Tuesday. And Meghan, I'll let you kind of give whatever basic overview, in-depth overview, teaser, however you want. But Pucks and Prosecco debuting tomorrow. I'm really excited.
You know, we moved, like, Pucks and Prosecco was always supposed to happen. We teased it when I was announced at Gorilla Sports. And so there's been an idea for Pucks and Prosecco for a long time. And I think it's still going to take a little time, like a few episodes under our belt, for us to learn what we want it to be. That's almost why I don't want to lock us in.
Yeah, totally.
To anything other than what is already known about Pucks and Prosecco. Chloe and I will be heading it up, and it's going to be a hockey podcast through the lens of two unapologetically girly girls. And I think it's going to be a funny way to talk about topics around the league, but I also want to carve out time throughout the span of Pucks and Prosecco to elevate other women's voices in hockey and talk about women's stories in hockey. And so that's where I haven't figured out the balance of how much that's going to come through episode by episode. Because for tomorrow, I have this excellent interview with Kim Weiss, the video coach for the Colorado Eagles. But I also want to talk about what happened with JT Miller in Vancouver. And so there are a lot of decisions to be made to shape how this show looks in the end, because I love talking about the NHL. I love going around the league. I love talking about the Avs. There's some Landeskog things that I want Chloe's thoughts on. So I'm not marrying myself to any one thing other than this. I promise this. We're going to talk a lot about hockey. I think it's going to be fun. I think there's something for everybody in it. And I can't be more thrilled to have Chloe part of it with me. That was maybe like the thing that made me most excited to launch it tomorrow, is getting Chloe on board, because that was the missing piece in, like, I'm just not sure how to bring this to life. And Chloe adds the life to Pucks and Prosecco. I'm so excited for that part.
Oh, I'm really excited. I'm so happy to be a part of it, and to have something that has been your project for your entire life to be a part of that with you is so exciting. And I can't wait to get girly girl with hockey.
I think there's a home for this too. Stacy wants to talk about men without teeth. You know,
love it.
Something my mom's brought to my attention is how they kind of look boyish, not in a creepy way though. They're just, you do, like, kids lose their teeth. Why do the grown men then without teeth still look adorable? I don't know.
So let me ask this clarifying question. How many teeth are we talking here? Because I think Ryan O'Reilly's a great looking dude, and part of it's because he's missing the tooth. And it's like, dang, what a rugged look. What a what a cool guy. But then
Eric Johnson.
Right.
I still
Like,
think he's cute.
I'm not saying that. I think EJ's a handsome fellow. He puts his teeth in, and it's like, yeah, that's a great smile. Mackenzie Blackwood's the same way. It's like, whoa, that's a lot of teeth you're missing.
It's like right in the front.
Right,
And so
right.
his teeth, it's got a unique look.
But I think it's better. I think like Miles Wood only missing he only has like one tooth missing on his,
and the
on his
ladies
top.
love him.
And
Yeah, I think that's a
people
great
love
look.
him, but I don't like the one tooth. I would rather them be missing multiple teeth like Blackwood.
Really? Okay.
I mean,
Interesting.
I just think
Hilarious.
if you're gonna be missing one tooth, you might as well miss your front too. And I think it looks more evened out that way. You know what I mean? Anyway.
No, but I love the opinion because I like I said, I actually totally get on board of because I've always thought about like, ooh, if I ever lost a tooth in a beer league game, like, oh, maybe I just keep it.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. Just one tooth though. That's right.
And you know how like Cale Makar, you can't really see his teeth when he smiles.
Interesting.
Stop.
Interesting. There's like,
Interesting.
okay, actually I don't want to bring up the hot to crazy scale, but there is maybe like a missing tooth to attractiveness
Yes.
scale that I'm not sure on.
See, I almost feel like you would need to do that as like a scatter plot more than like a
You're
But
right.
it's a
You know?
scatter plot, and then you draw the
right.
line
But
through
then
it.
you have the overall because there are going to be some where it's like, whoa, you don't have any teeth.
Yeah, this kind of
Right.
breaks the scale.
Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah.
whoa! Like Jack Eichel,
Is he missing teeth?
he was.
There are other aspects of Jack Eichel that I'm like,
Maybe
I have no idea what the teeth situation
maybe
is.
I just thought he was missing teeth because he doesn't look right.
Oh no. Oh, no.
All right, we're gonna get out of here for today, you guys. Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, guys, I'm super excited to watch the show. It's something that we've talked about you getting off the ground for a long time. We got Chloe's buy-in on it. I think it's gonna be great. I'm really excited to see where that show goes and what you guys do with it. And truthfully, Megan, I think any good podcast shouldn't stick itself to one thing, and you should change it and grow it and all that. And that's what I'm most excited for to watch your show.
Thank you.
That will do it for today. So no off ice tomorrow, but these two ladies will be back with the inaugural episode of Pucks and Prosecco. It looks like we may have a last second super chat here. Let's get to it. $2.99 for the perfect teeth, perfect number of missing teeth. Missing 2.9 amount
Yeah,
of teeth.
we're gonna get a
Yes,
formula
yes.
for the exact
Ooh,
right
okay.
number of missing
All right.
teeth.
Hey, Andy, can you
2.99.
give me with a show of hands how many teeth missing would be your ideal number of missing teeth? 10. All right.
Wow.
That's like half your mouth
Whoa.
almost. I
We
love it.
definitely need the scatter plot.
Yeah. But make sure you are tuning in Pucks and Prosecco, same time, same place on Tuesdays where you normally find Guerrilla Sports Off Ice. But now every single Tuesday, it will be Pucks and Prosecco. And who knows? Pucks and Prosecco just may end up taking over and running it Monday through Friday. Who knows? Anything could happen. Looking forward to that tomorrow from both of you. That's going to do it. She's Megan. She's Chloe. I'm Jesse Montano. This has been Guerrilla Sports Off Ice. Got Andy behind the glass today, making sure you guys can see us and hear us. That will do it. Thank you guys so much. Inaugural episode of Pucks and Prosecco tomorrow. Also, Abs in Vancouver tomorrow to kick off this last road trip. We will have some post-game shows for you guys here in the studio later in the week. We got a lot happening here over the next couple days at Guerrilla Sports. Thanks so much for listening, guys. And these two, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.